It's Friday, October the 12th, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Topping the news at this hour. Now, on the heels of a recent spate of violence in Crab Hill, St. Lucie, law enforcers headed to the rural northern community in the wee hours of this morning. From around 2 o'clock, officers of the Royal Barbados Police Force and the Barbados Defence Force were on the beat, executing search warrants and conducting vehicle checks. Police Public Relations Officer Michael Blackman said about 100 people were reached during the exercise, and when they wrapped up the operations this afternoon, police had arrested 4 people wanted in connection with serious criminal matters. Last month, the Crab Hill community was rocked by gun violence. One man, Dexter Lashley, was shot and killed on September the 30th. Now, police say investigations are continuing. In other news now, a family of 8 today lost all their possessions as fire destroyed their 4-bedroom wood and wall home just after 7 a.m. 67-year-old Esther Clark was in disbelief, and her sister Cecil Clark was visibly shaken as they looked on in disbelief at the charred remains of their childhood home at Brathwaite's Road, Sign Hill, St. James. One of the occupants of the house, Leon Clark, suffered injuries to his hands after he was hit by a burning piece of lumber. The blaze also damaged the neighboring home of Janice and Clifford Lynch. The fire victims were too distraught to speak. St. James North MP Edmund Hinkson was on the scene, and he pledged to provide all available assistance.
We've been in contact with housing to see if there's a house, any house available. Reverend Pastor Chris Beard is here to see if the church, his church, Mount Zion's Missions, can assist as well. And they are trying to assist too. You know, we're trying to get the government agencies. Obviously, I will make personal contribution to them. I understand the house that is destroyed totally, well, has not been insured, as is the case in too many of our cases where this happens. Next door, of course, is the Lynches. At least they may have alternative accommodation, and you know, besides, I think a bedroom, they may not have suffered much damage. Thank God for that.
Barbados Today has since learnt that Minister Hinkson and Pastor Lucille Beard of Mount Zion Missions Ministries have secured a temporary residence for the fire victims. Ian Harris is pleading for answers about the whereabouts of his brother, who has been missing for 5 months now. 59-year-old Frederick Decourcey Gilkes was last seen on Monday, May the 14th, when he left his Lakes St. Andrew residence for his usual 4 a.m. walk. Police, family and friends have conducted several search parties with no luck. Harris told Barbados Today he fears his brother has died, but he wants answers to bring closure to the matter. The newly elected president of the Democratic Labour Party, Verla de PISA, this afternoon tore into the Mia Mottley-led administration for its handling of the current economic situation, warning of more painful taxation to come. Addressing the first Astor B. Watts lunchtime lecture series since its resumption at the DLP George Street headquarters today, de PISA also launched a broadside against the government for what she called a devaluation of the investments of pensioners by altering the terms of their bonds, debentures, and the treasury notes.
How do you restore investor confidence? All of those pensioners who took their gratuity and put it in government paper. Persons who came into funds through estates or some other how and thought they were making a wise investment. What do you say to them now? And don't tell me you have a plan for rescuing pensioners without telling me what that plan is. Because you had a plan for their plans and didn't ask their opinion before you sent out that notice. And then couched it in terms that made it impossible to say no, because you burdened them with the guilt of a failed country if they did not say yes.
The DLP leader also accused the government of withholding information from Barbadians regarding the full implications of the deal with the International Monetary Fund to finance the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Plan.
So I want to know if the IMF says that they're reckoning more now that the NSRL has been removed in terms of taxes and having the NSRL slow down the economy, how do these proposals make the economy grow? It has to be more than putting money in the foreign reserves. That is important. That is absolutely important. But we have to be feeling it in our homes. And right now, the only thing we are feeling is pain.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. Sandals says it will be transparent once it signs the deal with the Trinidad and Tobago government to open a new resort in Tobago.
Director of Corporate Services of Sandals Resorts International, Jeremy Jones, says there is no secret deal between the government of TNT and the resort. In fact, he says, as the deal stands now, the deal is in conversation stage. Just a couple of weeks ago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley indicated that the deal with the resort will be closed by the end of November. Jones says if all goes as planned, that would be the case.
We don't think that there's any secrecy to the deals. When we came to Barbados and when we got into Grenada, it was a public disclosure in terms of all the incentives that were granted. But they weren't only granted to Sandals, they were granted to every hotelier. And I suspect that the same is going to be happening in Tobago as well. The conversations taking place in the public space is not a big issue for us because we want everybody to be fully aware of what it is we're doing, because we need the support and the belief and the buy-in of the people of Trinidad and Tobago to really make this work. And that's what we've done in all the islands where we operate.
And on the international scene, a Turkish court has freed U.S. pastor Andrew Brunson 2 years after he was detained, charged with helping to plot a coup against the Turkish president. The case has soured relations between Turkey and the United States, heightened by President Donald Trump's defense of Brunson as his administration elevated religious freedom as a cause. The court on Friday sentenced Brunson to 3 years and 1 month in prison, but chose to release him based on his time already served as well as his manner during the proceedings.
U.S. Pastor Andrew Brunson is on his way home, taking off from the Turkish city of Izmir after 2 years in detention on allegations of terrorism. U.S. President Donald Trump tweeting, "Pastor Brunson just released, will be home soon." Perhaps Turkey's most expensive prisoner, Brunson became the center of a diplomatic crisis between Turkey and the U.S. that led to economic pain for Turkey. It saw the country's lira tumbling to a record low and global markets scrambling to deal with the fallout. We heard from witnesses today inside the court that said their previous testimonies had been misrepresented and that they were inaccurate. Brunson, listening to some of those testimonies, remarked at one point, "I don't see how any of this is related to me." And just before that decision was handed down, he said that he was an innocent man, that he loved Jesus, but also that he loved Turkey. Pastor Brunson may originally have been from North Carolina, but he's lived in Turkey now for over 20 years, and he will probably have to now leave his home here for good. Just as he was told that he would be able to go free, he broke down into tears. His wife came up to the low partition and they hugged.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Now, you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic weekend.